So we're going to talk about your piece, another Sound Red Note commission. You're a graduate of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. You're an accordionist as well as a composer. I'm just filling this in case anybody doesn't know too much about you. We kind of met you back in 2018 at the Sound Festival when you were involved in a composer residency with Red Note Ensemble, and you produced that stunning piece, The Wooden Web, which I still remember the performance of that in St Andrew's Cathedral. It was incredible. So it's fantastic that we're able to bring you and Red Note back to sound with this commission. So it's a 3-movement work called Feda. I think, is that how it's pronounced?
I think it was Feda, but it's medieval Irish, and that's not my strong point. So.
No, it's not mine either, so we're both a bit stumped there. But can we maybe start off, Aileen, by you telling us about the piece, how you came about the subject matter, what made you choose it, and how the piece developed?
Sure. I mean, it's not dissimilar to my Sound Festival piece back in 2018 in the fact that it's influenced by trees again.
Right.
But I guess when I was writing this, it was hard to not be influenced by the lockdown in some shape or form, although maybe not in the most obvious sense. And when I was trying to think about what to write about this, I don't know, I just kind of became very aware of people's sort of shift in attitude towards the outdoors. I live right next to Kelvin Grove, and it was a daily going for a walk, and I started noticing the same people going at the same time. I didn't know them, but it was like this kind of weird sort of ritual that was coming about going outside and exploring, but getting outdoors. So I just started sort of researching about sort of previous sort of relationships to trees, and it was by a complete fluke that I sort of came across this sort of medieval role in sort of Irish and Scottish culture that trees had, and they were sort of regarded as sustainers of life. It was they were food, they were shelter, they were spiritual, and it was like a sort of sin to cut down a tree. But I guess what I was most fascinated by was the fact that they sort of formed an alphabet called Ogham, and this alphabet has 20 letters, which are called Feda, which also means trees. And not only is it these 20 letters all based on different trees, but it also sort of reflects the personalities of trees that they sort of envisaged. So I sort of picked my favourite 3, which was the birch tree, the rowan tree, and the aspen tree, which all had very distinct characters. And I just sort of formed 3 sort of contrasting movements sort of based on these sort of characteristics of the trees.
Right. Okay. So okay. So the 3 movements are birch, rowan, and aspen. Then. So did you've obviously got the text and the descriptions of that, but did you spend a long time looking at pictures or looking at actual birch trees and yeah.
I did spend quite a lot of time looking at trees. Yeah. It was as soon as I went onto Google and typed like tea, it was always just come up with search engines and stuff of trees. I spent a lot of time Googling about them. But yeah, the thing I found most fascinating was the birch tree was quite was mostly associated with femininity and grace, and was sort of nicknamed the Lady of the Woods. The rowan tree was sort of grows alone at the top of sort of high mountains, which is where these people believed the veil between the heavens was at its thinnest. So it was regarded as the most spiritual, so it got nicknamed the veil between the heavens. And then lastly, the aspen tree, the way the leaves are on the tree makes a very particular rustling sound, which they thought was the voices of their ancestors. So yeah, just quite interesting things. Not necessarily I believe them myself, but quite interesting nonetheless.
Yeah. But I mean, it's evocative rather than representative, I guess. But I mean, I think it might be useful. I think the audience would be really interested in how you might take this subject matter You do all your research on aspen leaves, the shape, the colour, and all of that. How does that then get turned into musical material? I'm not saying you're translating it, obviously, but how do you use it as that stimulus?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the birch tree, which was the first movement, it's also sort of got connotations of being like a very strong, and it's called a pioneer tree because it can sort of survive sort of natural disasters and sort of spurt new leaves, etc., quite quickly. So I just kind of wanted something quite earthy and strong sounding, and I sort of alluded to the harmonic series because I always find that has a very, I don't know, it just sounds quite earthy and down to earth to me. And I guess I used the double bass and the clarinet quite a lot in that first movement because I don't know, they just sound quite woody, which, I mean, they are wooden, but they just sound quite woody to me. And then I guess for the second movement, the Veil Between the Heavens, I just wanted something quite introverted because it's this very sort of lonesome tree and it was a very spiritual thing. And I guess I wanted to create or allude to sort of whispers from the heavens coming. So there's very, very, very quiet violin playing that you might not even hear, but just is sort of there. And then lastly, the whispering tree, that's maybe the most obvious sonically, which is just, I just made lots of nice rustly sounds. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thanks. And the instrumentation, so it's the same as Phil's, but without the horn.
Yeah.
So flute piccolo, clarinet, bass clarinet. Are you doing any other doublings or?
I didn't. I'm trying to think. No, I didn't use any doublings. No.
No. Okay, right. So and then harp, violin, viola, cello, and double bass. Were you happy with that combination of instruments? Is there something missing there that you wish you'd had, or?
I don't know if there's anything missing. I struggled with it a lot until I sort of cracked it and found my way into it. Rylan knows this because we were sort of messaging back and forth, and Rylan was doing like, "Oh, I'm doing this," and I was like, "Ah, I don't know."
I wish I thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I found like the heart was just kind of plunked there, and I couldn't really find a use for it. And the double bass felt dead clunky. I wish it had been a string quartet as opposed to one of each of the strings. But once I sort of broke the back of it, so to speak, and sort of found a purpose for each instrument, I kind of like it sort of came quite naturally, and I sort of spat it out. Well, not spat it out, but it came quite quickly over a couple of weeks after sort of painting over it for about a month and a half. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to hear it. I mean, you know, obviously you produced the score and finished the piece because it was going to be performed tonight. So it's kind of there, ready, waiting to go. So let's hope that we can get it done and out there as soon as possible. Trees and wood are really important to you. Is that a feature throughout all your work, or is there an environmental theme? Or
yeah, maybe a more broad environmental theme. It just so happens that Sound Festival seems to inspire me to write music about trees. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I do tend to lean towards sort of broader environmental maybe issues, or just sort of more pastoral sort of things.
Yeah, well, it'll fit perfectly in our October edition, which is our environmentally themed festival. So
there you go. It was meant to be.
Absolutely, yeah. So is there anything else more that you'd like to add about the piece?
I think I've rabbited on quite a lot. Yeah, I think I've got everything out there. Yeah.
Not at all. I think I think we've got a nice idea. I mean, it's weird. We can't, you know, we haven't heard anything, but I think we've got a really good. This is like a pre-concert talk that's taken place 6 months before the concert. So
super keen.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully people will remember this when we come to listen to it live.